Connie Smith's journey from a struggling childhood to becoming one of the most admired female country singers in history is a story of resilience, talent, and determination. Born in 1941 in Elkhart, Indiana, Connie grew up during a time when many families faced financial hardship. Her family was not wealthy, and she experienced many of the struggles that countless Americans felt during that period. Poverty, uncertainty, and personal challenges were all part of her early life, yet even in those difficult times, Connie found comfort in music. It was her safe place, the one area of life where she could escape, dream, and express herself freely. She began learning to play the guitar as a teenager, spending hours listening to the sounds of old country tunes, gospel songs, and the music of the Appalachian Mountains. These diverse influences were not only a source of comfort, but also a foundation that shaped the unique style and emotional depth of her later singing career. From a young age, Connie's voice had a rare quality. It could express heartbreak, sadness, and strength all at once. People who heard her sing even in her teens remarked on how deeply moving her voice was. It had clarity, power, and emotion that made listeners feel every word. This early exposure to music and her natural ability to convey emotion prepared her for the extraordinary journey that lay ahead, one that would take her from local performances to national fame and lasting influence in the world of country music. Connie's teenage years were a mix of struggle and discovery. While many of her peers were focused on school or typical adolescent activities, Connie immersed herself in music, practicing guitar, studying melodies, and listening to records of her musical idols. She found inspiration not only in country legends but also in gospel singers, whose spiritual intensity resonated with her own feelings and experiences. Music became a language she could rely on when life felt uncertain. By the time she was in her late teens, she was already performing locally, learning what it meant to connect with an audience, to project her voice, and to tell stories through song. This dedication and early exposure laid the groundwork for her remarkable talent. Her life changed dramatically in the early 1960s when she moved to Ohio and joined a band. During one performance, a man named Bill Anderson, a respected songwriter and musician, noticed her singing. Bill recognized something rare in her voice, a combination of emotion and technical skill that could not be taught. He took a personal interest in her career, helping her secure a recording deal with RCA Victor, a major music label at the time. This partnership marked the beginning of a career that would eventually make her a household name in the world of country music. What started as a young girl singing in her hometown had blossomed into an extraordinary opportunity that promised fame, recognition, and a chance to leave a lasting mark on the genre she loved. Connie Smith's story reminds us how talent, hard work, and a bit of luck can intersect to create something truly remarkable. It is also a story about mentorship, guidance, and the importance of having someone who believes in you, as Bill Anderson did, shaping her path to success in ways she could not have imagined at the time. Connie Smith's first taste of national success came in 1964 with the release of her debut single, Once a Day. The song was an immediate hit, reaching #1 on the country charts and staying there for 8 consecutive weeks, setting a record for female country singers that stood for decades. This single not only introduced Connie to the world but also showcased her signature style, a clear, emotionally expressive voice paired with traditional country instrumentation. Unlike many new artists who struggled to find their footing, Connie made an immediate impact. Her style was fresh yet deeply rooted in the traditions of country music, and listeners instantly connected with her sincerity and storytelling ability. The early success of Once a Day established her as a major figure in the industry, setting the stage for a decade of sustained achievement. During the 1960s and 1970s, Connie released more than 70 songs that charted nationally. Hits such as Ain't Had No Loving, I Never Once Stopped Loving You, and The Huttons all over cemented her reputation as a singer capable of conveying the most profound emotions with subtlety and grace. She became known for her ability to deliver songs with emotional honesty, whether expressing heartbreak, love, or longing. Her performances were not just technical displays of skill, they were heartfelt narratives that resonated deeply with fans. Even as country music began incorporating pop elements during this period, Connie's voice maintained its authenticity. She stood out among her contemporaries because of her ability to retain the traditional emotional core of country music while navigating the evolving industry landscape. This period also saw her earn the admiration of fellow artists. Legends such as Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, George Jones, and Merle Haggard frequently praised her talent. Many described her as the ideal example of what a country singer could achieve through dedication, emotional sincerity, and vocal skill. For Connie, these years were not only about commercial success, but also about establishing a lasting artistic identity. While fame and recognition came quickly, she faced personal challenges behind the scenes. The pressures of stardom, including anxiety and the demands of constant public attention, tested her resilience. Yet, she remained committed to her music, using it as a source of stability and self-expression even during difficult times. These early years of fame illustrate not just her remarkable talent, but also her dedication, focus, and ability to navigate the challenges that accompany a rapidly rising career. As Connie's star continued to rise, she made a personal choice that reflected her values and priorities. In the late 1970s, at the peak of her career, she stepped back from the music business to focus on family and her spiritual life. This decision was unusual at a time when commercial success often took precedence over personal fulfillment. By taking a break, Connie demonstrated that she valued personal integrity and family connections over fame alone. Her absence from the spotlight allowed her to recharge, explore her spirituality, and build meaningful relationships outside of music. This period away from performing did not diminish her influence. In fact, it strengthened it. When she returned to music in the 1990s and 2000s, she did so as a mature artist, with a voice that, while softer with age, retained its emotional intensity. Albums such as Long Line of Heartaches and The Cry of the Heart received critical acclaim, reminding the industry and fans alike of her enduring talent. By the early 2000s, Connie Smith was recognized not merely for her chart-topping hits, but for her deeper, lasting contributions to country music. Her ranking on CMT's list of the greatest female country singers reinforced her place as a legend. These achievements reflect a career that balanced professional success with personal fulfillment, demonstrating that true artistry often involves more than just commercial milestones. While Connie Smith's professional career was extraordinary, her personal life was equally complex and revealing. Behind the bright lights and chart-topping songs, she faced the same human challenges of love, family, and finding balance between her personal and professional worlds. Connie was married 4 times, and each marriage reflected a different stage of her life, showing both her resilience and the realities of navigating relationships while being a public figure. Her first marriage was in 1961 to Jerry Smith, a man who worked as an analyst at Interlake Iron Corporation in Beverly, Ohio. At that time, Connie was just entering adulthood, balancing her early music career with the responsibilities of married life. Together, they had a son, Darren Justin, born on March 9, 1963. While the marriage began with hope and shared dreams, the pressures of career and family eventually led to their separation in the mid-1960s. Despite the divorce, Connie's experiences during this time taught her valuable lessons about commitment, partnership, and resilience. The following marriages were closely tied to her life in music, reflecting both the joys and challenges of a life spent traveling, performing, and pursuing artistic excellence. Her second husband, Jack Watkins, was a guitarist in her touring band. Their marriage emerged from shared experiences on stage, long road trips, and a mutual love for music. They had a son together, but the demands of constant touring and emotional strain eventually led to separation within a year. These early experiences highlight the difficulty of sustaining personal relationships in a profession that requires constant travel, unpredictable schedules, and public scrutiny. Connie's third marriage to Marshall Haynes, a telephone repairman who became deeply involved in her touring life, brought some stability. With him, she had 3 daughters, expanding her role as a mother while continuing her demanding career. This marriage lasted longer than her previous ones and provided a sense of anchoring family life amid the pressures of the music industry. Still, the challenges were not absent. By the early 1990s, Connie and Haynes divorced, closing yet another chapter of her personal journey. Each marriage reflected different challenges, some stemming from career demands, others from personal compatibility, and all from the broader pressures of balancing public life with private desires. These experiences shaped Connie's perspective on love, family, and commitment, teaching her the importance of faith, self-awareness, and personal values. Her personal journey, intertwined with her music, demonstrates that behind the glamour and recognition, she navigated a life filled with real human struggles, lessons, and growth, all of which contributed to the depth and authenticity that defined her music. What makes Connie Smith's story particularly compelling is how she intertwined her personal values with her professional choices. While some artists might have pursued fame at any cost, Connie repeatedly made decisions that prioritized her spiritual beliefs, family, and emotional well-being. This was most evident in her decision to take breaks from performing, a choice that not only allowed her to focus on her family but also gave her time to reflect, grow, and return to music on her own terms. She approached life with a sense of purpose, blending career ambitions with personal integrity. Her marriages and family life were not just biographical footnotes, they were integral to her story. They shaped the way she sang, the emotion she conveyed, and the sincerity that listeners recognized in her voice. Beyond her family, Connie's relationships in the music world were equally important, especially her connection with Bill Anderson, who played a pivotal role in her career development. Yet, even in professional relationships, she maintained boundaries and insisted on mutual respect, which was not always easy in a male-dominated industry. These layers, professional mentorship, personal growth, spiritual grounding, and familial responsibilities, paint a picture of a woman who managed to navigate complexity with grace. Her personal life, full of love, loss, challenges, and triumphs, informs the emotional depth of her music. It is this authenticity that has allowed listeners to connect with her songs across generations. Through every marriage, every family milestone, and every challenge, Connie Smith demonstrated that personal experiences, both joyful and painful, can fuel artistry, and her career is a testament to the power of blending life lessons with musical expression. Behind Connie Smith's rise to fame was a man whose impact on her career was profound, though often understated: Bill Anderson. Known as one of the most respected songwriters and performers in country music, Anderson first encountered Connie when she was performing with a local band in Ohio. Even at that early stage, he recognized the rare quality of her voice, clear, powerful, and capable of conveying emotion that touched listeners deeply. Connie, at the time, was still finding her footing in a world that could be overwhelming, unfamiliar, and intimidating for a young woman in a male-dominated industry. Bill Anderson didn't just see talent. He saw potential, and he offered guidance that went far beyond the technical aspects of singing. He helped her secure a recording deal with RCA Victor, a label that would become the launching pad for one of the most remarkable careers in country music. From that moment on, Anderson became a mentor, collaborator, and friend, helping Connie navigate the complexities of the music business while remaining true to herself. For many artists, early career mentorship is a fleeting or transactional relationship, but for Connie and Bill, it became a defining professional partnership. He wrote several songs for her, including her debut hit Once a Day, which instantly catapulted her into the spotlight. Connie has often described the experience of performing songs written by Anderson as almost surreal. It was as if he could translate her emotions into words and melodies that perfectly matched her voice and style. This rare synergy between songwriter and singer created music that resonated not just with fans of the day, but with future generations, ensuring that her early work would remain iconic for decades. Beyond professional guidance, Bill offered Connie a sense of stability in an industry that often demanded conformity and could be harsh to women trying to assert their voices. He respected her boundaries, listened to her ideas, and encouraged her to develop her unique style rather than attempting to mold her into a commercially convenient version of herself. This support was invaluable, particularly in the 1960s when women in country music faced systemic challenges and limited opportunities. Through his mentorship, Connie learned not only about singing and performance, but also about professionalism, artistic integrity, and navigating the often complicated world of music production. Many years later, Connie reflected on their relationship with warmth and gratitude, noting that Anderson's influence extended far beyond her first hits. He shaped her understanding of music, storytelling, and the emotional power of song. While their collaboration was professional in nature, it was built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to creating meaningful, heartfelt music. For fans and historians alike, their partnership represents one of the most authentic and effective collaborations in the history of country music. What makes this story particularly compelling is how Connie Smith finally opened up about her relationship with Bill Anderson after decades of silence. For much of her career, she allowed her music to speak for itself, letting songs convey emotion and narrative while remaining private about the people behind the scenes. Yet at 84 years old, she shared her perspective on the man who had such a pivotal role in her life and career. With clarity and humility, she explained that Bill was more than a songwriter. He was a guide who helped her understand the music industry, her own potential, and the importance of staying authentic. Connie emphasized that their bond was not romantic or sensational. It was professional, supportive, and deeply respectful. She often noted how people wanted to create drama or gossip around their collaboration, but in reality, their relationship was built on trust, mentorship, and mutual admiration. She described feeling safe under his guidance, which allowed her to flourish as an artist without compromising her values. His songs gave voice to her emotions, his advice provided confidence, and his support offered stability in a world where many young performers could feel exploited or overshadowed. For Connie, the recognition of Bill Anderson's role was not just about crediting someone for a job well done. It was about acknowledging the profound impact he had on her life. By sharing this truth publicly, she offered fans a glimpse behind the scenes of her extraordinary career, showing that success often comes not only from talent, but from the mentors, friends, and supporters who help shape an artist's journey. In doing so, she reframed the narrative, allowing listeners to understand that her iconic hits, emotional performances, and enduring legacy were, in part, shaped by a man who saw the potential in a young girl from Ohio and helped her become one of country music's greatest voices. After